Good evening. Here in New Jersey, there are a few things residents can always count on: high property taxes, expensive utility bills, and apparently another lawsuit filed by Trenton politicians. This week, New Jersey joined more than 20 Democratic-led states in suing the Trump administration over tariffs. Now, the legal question in this case is whether the federal government has the authority to impose those tariffs under existing law. That's a debate for federal courts. But here in New Jersey, there's another question people are asking tonight. Why does Trenton always seem eager to spend taxpayer money fighting Washington, but far less eager to tackle the problems hurting people right here at home? Because let's be honest, for many residents across the state, tariffs are not the issue keeping them up at night. Property taxes are, electric bills are, gas bills are, and the growing reality that living in New Jersey is becoming financially unstable for many families. Yet, while residents are trying to figure out how to afford the next utility bill, the state government is launching another political lawsuit. And lawsuits like this are never free. State attorneys, legal staff, research team, court filings. Months, sometimes years of litigation. All of that is funded by taxpayer dollars. And here in New Jersey, taxpayers are already stretched thin. So when Trenton decided to jump into national political fights, it raises a very fair question. Is this really the best use of public money? Now, the argument from the state officials is that tariffs raise prices and hurt consumers. That may be their position, but here's the problem with the argument. New Jersey residents already face some of the highest costs living anywhere in the United States. And most of those costs are not coming from tariffs. They're coming from right here in Trenton. Property taxes that rank among the highest in the nation. Utility costs that continue to rise. Regulations that make it harder for businesses to operate and grow. Those are state-level problems. And they are problems state leaders actually have the power to fix. But instead of focusing on those issues, Trenton keeps returning to the same playbook. If there's a federal policy they don't like, file a lawsuit. If Washington makes a decision they disagree with, file a lawsuit. If there's a political opportunity to oppose the White House, file a lawsuit. At some point, residents have to ask whether these legal battles are about protecting taxpayers or simply scoring political points. Because here's the reality on the ground. Homeowners across New Jersey are paying property taxes that exceed $10,000 a year, sometimes far more. Utility costs have climbed steadily in recent years, and younger families increasingly feel like owning a home in this state is slipping out of reach. Those are not abstract policy debates. Those are kitchen table issues, and they are the issues residents expect their state government to focus on. Instead, what they often see is a state government more interested in fighting ideological battles when solving everyday economic problems. And that's why critics say this lawsuit over tariffs fits into a larger pattern. A pattern where political theater sometimes takes priority over practical solutions. Because lawsuit makes headlines, but lowering property taxes, that requires a harder decision. Reforming state spending, that requires political courage. And tackling cost of living crisis in New Jersey, that requires sustained leadership, not press conference. Look, the court will eventually decide whether the Trump tariffs stand or fall. That's how systems work. But for many New Jersey residents, the bigger issue isn't the outcome of the lawsuit. It's the priorities behind it. Because when people feel their government is fighting battles that don't improve their lives, they begin to wonder whether their leaders are focused on the wrong thing. And in a state where families already feel squeezed from every direction, that question becomes more important with every passing year. New Jersey residents aren't asking for miracles. They are asking for relief. Relief from the highest property taxes in the nation. Relief from rising utility costs. Relief from economic pressures that are forcing many families to consider leaving the state altogether. Those are fights people want their government to take on, not another taxpayer-funded trip to federal court. I'm Haley Ficuciello, and that's tonight's commentary.